There are so many red flags in horror movies that nobody ever listens to, and it is so frustrating. Starting out with one illustrated by who I believe to be one of the dumbest, if not the dumbest motherfucker in horror history. So this is the one where they come across some sort of artifact and literally every sign is pointing at don't fuck with it, and they fuck with it. And again, the best example I have of this is Evil Dead 2013, Eric with the Necronomicon. He finds this book that is literally bound in barbed wire. He cuts through it, and when he opens it, there is literally blood in it spelling out, do not read this book, and he proceeds to read the fucking book. Like, you deserved everything you got, my guy. Next is when little kids have imaginary friends in horror movies and they keep saying like increasingly violent things. My best example I have of this is Paranormal Activity 3 when this little bitch is talking to Toby and she keeps saying to like her mom's boyfriend specifically like, oh, Toby's right behind you, and eventually it's like Toby's gonna fucking kill you. And they don't do shit. They just stay in the house. They keep recording. Like, motherfucker, I would be out of there so quick. Throw the whole fucking kid away and get the fuck out of the house. Next is such a classic horror movie trope, but The Harbinger. I think like the best and most well-known example of this is in the original Friday the 13th. So you and your friends are on your way somewhere and you have this old local man approach you and say, you're doomed if you go there, you're all going to die. And everybody just fucking ignores it. What are we doing? This one is so well known and so common that they parodied it in Cabin in the Woods, which I fucking love. And in that movie, they also don't listen to him. Another one that is super common, there are hundreds of movies like this. The first one that I thought of was Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, but when the characters hear about these terrible tragedies happening in a place, like this one specifically, it's like, oh wow, every single person that's ever gone to this location has never been heard from again. No trace of them has ever been found. And they're like, well, I guess I should check it out. Bitch, stay the fuck away. Like, you know the history. Why the fuck are we doing this? Why are you ignoring it? You are asking to become one of the missing. This one is kind of weirdly specific, but when a person goes somewhere in a movie and then they come back like different or not right. So obviously like we as an audience know that they must have been possessed by something. One of the movies that I think is the best example of this is a movie I'm not even really crazy about, but it's Annihilation. Like the husband comes back obviously an entirely different person, and instead of being like, hey, let's avoid that place, they're like, let's go check it out and see what happened. Why? Like, my first reaction would be to stay far the fuck away from wherever that is. I just rewatched Hell House LLC for like the 700th time, and like same thing with Paul. So we know he gets like taken by this woman and he comes back very much not himself, and we know he's like possessed or something, and his friends are just like, he's fine. Bitch, Paul is not Paul. He's been sitting in a dark basement catatonic for 7 hours. This one is also very common when something very clearly supernatural is happening in a place, but they just decide to ignore it and stay in that location. So we see this all the time with movies where like the family moves into the house is haunted, but they don't move out. But the one that I'm thinking about is Last Shift from 2014, about this cop who it's her first shift ever, and all this weird, creepy, supernatural shit is happening to her while she is alone in an abandoned police station. Like, she is literally seeing people and things that are not there. But she's like, oh, I don't want to make myself look bad on my first shift, like I have to stay. Bitch, you're gonna die. And finally, when the phones don't work, I feel like this is more of a red flag in this day and age. But I was thinking specifically of the 1981 Halloween 2. So this takes place in the hospital, and before anything even happens, they notice that the phones are out, and nobody's like, that's fucking weird. They're all just like, oh, it's okay. When it's the same night that a massacre just happened and the person that this massacre was targeted at is in said hospital, like, be so fucking for real right now. This applies like even to modern ones though. Like if you are in like an isolated cabin in the middle of the woods and your phone has no fucking service, get the fuck out of Dodge.